Welcome to Outback Outdoors. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the alert to stay up to date on all our new videos. To stalk or not to stalk? That is the question. All right, we're here. We got a buck bedded. We got to pick our stalks carefully. What does that mean? Well, would you guys agree with me that bow hunting is a game of percentage? So if we pooled all the bow hunters, we would probably find some that say it takes me 15 stalks to kill a buck. And then we'd find a guy who doesn't go on as many stalks, but he's 3 to 1. I'm probably 4 to 5 to 1, okay? If I look back the last 10 years. It takes me probably 4 or 5 stalks. I'm not saying to kill a buck, to get a shot opportunity. And that's what we're going for. It's a game of numbers. Put ourselves in a position where we can come to full draw. And then we have the high percentage plays. Those are the ones that you go, oh baby, let's do this. And the hardest thing is sometimes you have to wait. Because it's a high percentage play, but conditions need to be right. We'll talk about that in a second. Don't be afraid to fail, because it's gonna happen. If bow hunting was easy, everybody'd do it. Right? Right? Okay, so here's a classic situation where I failed. Here we are, got a buck bedded in a cut bank. Man, he's bedded right up under that clean dirt bank. So not a big guy, pretty sneaky. I send my buddy Dave with a decoy. I get to a position where I know if he stands up, I'm letting the air out of him. Okay? I can even stand up. Now, when I stand up, all I can see is his head. Right? So I don't have a shot, so I gotta have him stand. So Dave is up here, walking up there. See the buck? He's bedded right there. I'm there. Dave just moves down the ridge line. He's about 200 yards apart with this decoy. All I gotta do is wait for him to look up and look at Dave. He's not spooked. He's just looking at that other deer that's walking. I come to full draw, and I make a beautiful shot. It makes that good thump sound. And then I realized I shot into the dirt bank. Oops. He was tucked right behind that, and there was the sun there and the moon there, and I'm pretty sure I had a bug in my eye, and I shot right into that dirt bank. What an awesome opportunity, though. Right? Who was here earlier that watched the little, where the guy came down and shot the buck? Well, you guys were all here. That wasn't the one I showed. It was the one I showed earlier in this. He came over, stood up, right? That's the same buck. 4 days later. We called him lucky. He's not so lucky anymore. But seriously, that's the same buck. So it's kind of cool. So we have to not be afraid to fail. I talk about day beds. It's really important that you understand what a day bed is. Mule deer are horrible about going, sun comes up, thermals start to rise, and they bed. And we as hunters, let's go get them. The problem is, they're not going to be bedded there long. I bet the farm on this. They're probably within an hour, hour and a half, they're probably going to get up and readjust. Because the sun's going to get to a position where their shade that they were under is going to be gone. And then they're going to find better shade that they'll have through most of the afternoon. So we call that their day bed. Okay? I have made the mistake of moving too soon. He's right here. He's right here. Get up there. He's gone. Well, he was bedded. Now he's bedded over there, and I'm sitting here looking like this, and he jumps up and leaves because I didn't let him get into his day bed. Once they get in their day beds, you can be pretty sure they're gonna be there for a while, okay? There's other conditions to understand, but I don't care if it's first rifle, fourth rifle, September. Most bucks will bed, unless they're rutting, then they don't hardly bed, right? Because they're always chasing does. But normally they're gonna bed, they'll get up, they'll readjust, and they'll bed for most of that day, a good period, okay? That's when we can be aggressive. But don't be stupid. Use common sense. We're still hunting. You can fool their eyes, you can fool their ears, but you'll never fool their nose. Wind is important, okay? So we can fool their eyes by staying hidden. Plan your approach. Fool their ears, let some wind pick up. I love hunting mule deer in about 15 to 20 miles per hour wind. If it's 30, something's gonna die because I'll walk right up to them. Because I know where my wind's going because I have such a steady wind. I know where my scent is, and they can't hear me. And I better not be walking in full view of them or I'm an idiot, right? Live to stalk another day. If it's not right, back up, okay? Now, it's easy to say when you're on hunting deer that nobody know about. What about when you got a hunter on that ridge and a hunter on that ridge? Public land, right? Hey, you're gonna have to make that call. But a lot of times if you'll back up and depend upon the ignorance of the normal hunter, and I don't mean to say that to be rude, as long as you don't bust that buck out of there, somebody else isn't gonna get in on him because he's bedded. They're not gonna find him. Pull yourself back, come in from the right approach. Or let him be. If he's in a honey hole, we killed a deer last year, and it was second rifle. And my buddies, my best friends from high school, we hadn't hunted deer in 35 years, and we said, this is ridiculous. You guys got some points. Why don't you come out? Let's hunt in Colorado. There's a good it's not over the counter, but it's easy to draw for non-residents. I think it took 2 preference points. You know what kind of unit that's gonna be. Elk's open, deer's open. I got 100 people around me, and a lot of does and forkhorns. And there's a lot of forkhorns dying off the road, right? People are shooting, they're shooting these yearlings, right? So we end up going between the main highway and the high country where everybody is, and we just sit in glass. The first day we finally pick up this good buck, 170-inch buck, nice buck. We couldn't get to him that day. There was no way. We pull out, we're gonna go back in, find him the next day. Nowhere to be found. But nobody's in there glassing that area. I mean, we saw a few guys going through, but they were just kind of going through. Was it the 4th day we got on him again, Corey? 4th day, was it the 4th day we got? I think the 4th day we finally turned him up. And my buddy, my best friend from high school, shot a 170-inch buck. And it was awesome, right? And we just were patient. And it's a highly public land. There was a ton of people in there. Yeah. So sometimes you get those little hidey holes. If, just when people pull up, act like you're glassing the other way, do that. Hey, I've done it before. They pull up and we're on this side. Oh, now we're glassing the other side of the road. All right. So one of the other things, once we get this target buck, we got to know exactly the location. How many people have bedded a buck down and then you start to move down and you get down there and that tree that you picked looks like every other tree? Or that rock outcrop you thought was there, there's 5 of them? Oh, that sucks. So you got to know your exact location. Sometimes you can use big structures like a rock cliff, and then there's a lone dead tree, and then he's under the juniper, or something like that. A couple of things that you can see from everywhere in order to know where you're at. Because as you close that distance, everything's gonna look different. I promise you. Okay? You got adrenaline pumping, right? You're on a stalk. It's about to go down. Know where you're at, know your location. I use Onyx for that all the time. What I'll do is I'll pull up Onyx. First of all, I'll download where I'm hunting so I don't have to have internet. Have you done that where you're like, crap, I forgot to download it, and you don't have any Wi-Fi or cell service. So download it, it's pretty simple, doesn't take up a lot of space, and then you can use it to navigate. And I'll pull it up and I'm like, okay, there's the draw, there's the bluff. Okay. He's under this tree, and I'll mark it. Okay? Here's an example I did, just showing, of course, it's from my laptop, but you know, just something like this. There I am glassing, there's where the buck is. Now on my phone, as I get there, I can go, okay, I think he's there. Oh no, he's over here. Oh, okay. And it can help you tune in. The best way, though, is have some spotters. I think it's easier to find, I don't think my wife's here, a good hunting partner than it is to find a wife. I don't really mean that. My wife is amazing, and it took me 26 years to find her, but it is hard. You gotta have the same hunting philosophies. You gotta be able to get along. You gotta be unselfish, right? So it's hard, but if you have some help, it is invaluable to have some spotters that can guide you in. We used to use a little simple hand signal. So, tell me how corny this is. Imagine you were on another hill and you saw me doing this. This means everything's okay. The buck is still there. Simple. I'm on the spot. I look back at my spotter. He goes like this. Done. I keep moving. This means he stood up and walked this way. Pretty simple, right? So you can come up with things like that because a lot of times you don't have cell service, or you're not supposed to do electronic communication depending on your state's regs. Right? So it's pretty simple to do that. Keep your spotter. Your spotter can tell you. It's invaluable because as a hunter, what am I saying? I wonder if he's there. I wonder if he's still there. I wonder if he's still there. I wonder if he's still there. I wonder if, and then all of a sudden I'm going faster and faster and faster because I'm scared he's not there. So it makes me slow down and calm down so that I can do my stalk patiently. Again, I'm trusting that he's in his day bed and he's going to be there a while. And if I have the wind right, which we'll talk about in a bit, I don't have anything to worry about because I'm out of his line of sight and he can't smell me. You can fool his eyes, you can fool his ears, but you can't fool his nose, right? Okay? Spotters are invaluable. If you guys have questions, just raise your hand. This is informal. Okay. If you need me to clarify anything or whatever, all right. Once you close the distance, know your effective range. I don't care what weapon you're hunting with, know your range. Hey, just because you can shoot 60 yards, a pie plate at your house with no wind, standing up, doesn't mean you need to shoot 60 yards in the woods. Doesn't. Okay? Know your effective range. The way you do that, and I actually do a seminar on how to determine your effective range, is you shoot under different conditions, and you shoot one arrow. So if I'm kneeling on an unlevel surface, and there's a 15-mile-per-hour crosswind, my effective range might be 30 yards. Now mind you, the other night I was cranking them at 80, right, like a champ. No wind, standing up, right? It's not my effective range, okay? No elevation change. So you gotta put the practice in to know. And then, just like your expectations on the size or the trophy class of your buck, you need to have your expectations of what that is before it happens. 65 yards? Close enough. Boom. Man, please don't do that. Please be willing to put limits on yourself, okay? We owe that to the animal. Okay, be patient. Once you get into that kill zone, and he's bedded, and all you see is the head or whatever, and you're crouched down, be patient. The hard work's done. But mentally, this is the toughest part of the whole thing. Because you have to have the patience to wait for the shot. So that might mean, depending upon the terrain and the topography, the vegetation, I might have to pick my lanes. Boom, you're ranging everything. You know what it is. Because you're gonna have to wait for that buck to stand up. Be patient. Then you have a few choices to make. I'm gonna share this. My buddy Sloan, I got to take him mule deer hunting. You'll notice a lot of the same footage. This is easy for us to film in this country because there's a lot of deer and a lot of opportunities. And it's one of my favorite hunts. It's not physically super demanding, but I can get 2 or 3 camera angles. And it's out in Nebraska, and it's you know, it's again, it's a lot like the New Mexico terrain, some of that stuff. And it's a lot of glassing, but then once you're in there, you can kind of work through some of these cut banks. And I'll just play it and be quiet for a second. They were literally working because they'd seen a buck drop into a draw, but they didn't know exactly where he was. And then they just happened to see him shake his head and bed down. This buck, where they're at, they're not 200 yards from this buck, and they were just about to walk up that ridge and blow him out of there. I mean, it was just picture perfect how lucky it was that they saw him. Because now, okay, what's the wind doing? How do I approach? How do I get within range? Sloan decides he's gonna go up here. You can see the wind. He has a pretty decent wind, not worried about getting busted. But the buck is bedded so far up against that cut bank, he makes the choice. He's gonna pick up a little rock, which has never worked for me, not once. And he's gonna chunk the rock, and in his athletic prowess, he's gonna hook onto his release. Look at this. So he balances his bow. He's got his release hooked. Ready, here we go. Can you do it? Okay, here we go. And he comes to full draw. And the buck steps up and stops. I've tried that 3 times. Every time they stop about the county line. So you have to make decisions. How do you make him stand? We use decoys a lot. So the other option would have been to have somebody come on the opposite ridge 300 yards away. Not a threatening distance. Pop up a decoy and just act like you're a buck. Most likely they're going to stand up and look. But they didn't have another guy who could go run the decoy. They just had the 2 cameramen and him. So they made the most of it. He killed probably the best buck of his life that he'll probably ever kill, because I don't know if I'm going to let him hunt with me again. Thanks for watching Outback Outdoors. We encourage you to comment below, and as always, like, subscribe, and click the alert to stay up to date on all our new videos.